Hey, true believers, Matt Sardo, Monkeys Fighting Robots, and we have to talk about Captain America #1. It drops today from Marvel Comics. It's a big relaunch with J. Michael Straczynski and art by Jesus Saiz. Color is by Matt Hollingsworth, and Joe Caramagna is the letterist on it. And there's a vibe. There's a solid vibe to this book. It has this 40s feel to it. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. Because I just read The Wonder Woman and I read Midlife, and so I've had a lot of #1 issues to review and talk about this week. And this was completely different. This was almost like reading a novel compared to a comic book. Jesus' style is very static, and the way it's colored, it's got kind of I feel like it's got like a little filter on it. So you have this like color filter over it. Oh, yeah, that's it. It's got like an Instagram filter over top of it. And that's what kind of makes it feel a little different. Things kind of feel static. And then you have Straczynski like giving you this whole story, this big, huge story. And so when the panels don't feel like they're moving, you kind of feel like you're reading. I talk about like when I get into the action of comic book and I'm ducking and dodging and moving and wiggling, and as I'm like moving the comic book as things are happening and stuff like that. This didn't happen with this. And it doesn't necessarily make it a bad comic book. It's just a different reading experience to it. Because Straczynski is setting up this like massive world. And I get to see Steve Rogers from a different perspective. And he's also telling a story about Steve that I'm not quite familiar with, or I don't know if anybody's familiar with, and it could be something new. And that's that story of Steve between the age of 14 and 18 when he's like on his own. And that's an interesting time because, I mean, like, he was Captain America before he became Captain America. Like, that was what it was. Like, he had this moral compass that keeps him who he is. And so we're going to see that like origin story of Steve Rogers and his moral compass. And the last page of the book is definitely like a jaw-dropping page. And I was like, oh man, we're going here. This is gonna be crazy. And I'm excited to see where this series goes. It was just a completely different reading experience compared to the other two books that I read that were first issues. I do think that Straczynski is going to he's gonna bring something. I read all his Spider-Man run, and all his Spider-Man run was very interesting, very different, and very, I don't know, it was just different. And so I think this is going to be a different experience with Captain America. And I like the idea of Captain America. You know, the fighting spirit of America, like gets knocked down, gets back up, like the true American spirit. Like, I like the idea of Captain America. My favorite Captain America is Ultimate Cap, where he's like this crazy Marine. He still kind of has like the moral compass of Captain America, but he has like the 50s values. And so he's like bonkers. Like he totally clashes with modern day and now, and those values that he carries like don't always fit with what's going on with the social norms of today. So like I thought that was interesting. And so that is like my favorite Captain America. As broken as that character was, like he's kind of like my favorite version of Captain America. But the idea of Captain America is amazing. It's almost it's in the same regards of the idea of Superman. And so you have this character with this moral compass and always doing the right thing, the Boy Scout, the ultimate Boy Scout. You have this character, and Straczynski is going to try to give you the origin of that character. And I think that's an interesting concept. And then you have like the villain, the mysterious villain in the background that's going to build up to something. And I kind of like that we're in this like everyday kind of Captain America, this everyday kind of like Brian Michael Bendis kind of thing. Where like, what is Captain America doing for lunch? Like, what is Steve Rogers doing? Like, how does he handle behind the curtain kind of stuff? Like, it's an interesting take on the character, and I am excited to see where the run goes. But again, because the art is kind of static, it does feel like you're reading something as opposed to experiencing something. And then the only other advice that I will give or critique I will give is Joe's lettering works, but like I said, there's an Instagram filter kind of thing over Jesus's art with like Hollingsworth's colors. What I think would work better is if Joe lettered and then Matt colored his lettering to match the comic book. I think that would have flowed better because I think the sound effects kind of like feel like a sticker on top of the book as opposed to part of the book. Overall, I'm in on this book. I think there's enough story that hooks me in to where I can get past the few little flaws in it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. When you read Captain America, come back here, comment below of what your thoughts were on the story, on the art, on the colors, on the letters. Like, let's have a conversation about the book. And let's kind of like think about where it's going to go. So kind of give your theories about where you think this story is going to go. So, take care, guys. Have a great New Comic Day.